All right, what's up, guys? This is Plan B for a live stream today. Was trying to do the old setup to actually do um, to have the ability to set this up and schedule it and that sort of thing, but it never is going properly whenever I do it here in the 2020 days. So gonna go ahead and see who's in this live stream. Gonna be just doing some Q&A and also a game plan for students who are, hey guys, go ahead and drop in your questions or what you're trying to figure out in the chat, and we can get started right away with your answers. But what we're doing today here, guys, we're going to be starting Friday night live streams. The team, I polled the community, and a whole bunch of people said Friday night was the way to go. So go ahead and drop your questions in the chat. We're taking questions for about an hour here, but basically want to get rolling with the 1% Engineer live stream again on Friday nights. Every single Friday, we're going to be experimenting between 7 p.m. Eastern and 8:30. But honestly, I have a couple things to add about imposter syndrome and productivity and things that have kind of been messing with my head nowadays. And I think some of these can work for 1% Nation here during COVID. But who's here? Give a shout out. What type of engineer are you? If you're in the live stream, there's 10 of you here already. What type of engineer are you? Where are you from in the world? What's up, Kevin? How you doing? Only 9 people watching. It's okay. Well, I haven't been going live. I used to get 40, 50 people 2 years ago when this was only 10,000 subs, but we didn't market this. I didn't drop this into the Discord. This is kind of like a secret live stream because we're going to start doing Friday night, every single Friday live streams, but people don't know about it. Hey, what's up? Harpreet from New York. So guys, go ahead, drop your engineering questions into the chat. I'm going to just answer whatever you guys have. But the thing that I'm hearing the most, let's just jump right into it, is the pain points around doing things that you would normally be doing with COVID, but now, oh, my team member, Serena, just tried to join us, but now you can't really get an internship. You can't really get research assignments. It's hard to get a job. It's hard to network. There's no conferences to go to and that sort of thing to get a job. So what can you do to stand out? What can you do to gain momentum? What can you do to actually continue to, it's okay, Cress. Cress, if you have a question, drop in the chat. We'll answer it, and then you can respond to that and check out the reading later. But what can you do? And one of the biggest things that you can be doing is building a portfolio. What's up, Daniel? I'll get to your question in just a second. So building a portfolio, building an accumulation of work, building something that you can show, a website, a selection of projects, some sort of work, an archive of something that you can be doing during COVID, during other times, summer break. It doesn't have to be a COVID type of strategy, but these are the things that I hear pain points around the most. And I'm gonna get right into that because Daniel dropped a question. We're gonna answer that. Daniel, thanks so much for this question. Guys, if you're just dropping in, I think 5, 6, 7 of you have also dropped in. Tell me, where are you from? What type of engineer that you are, and also what is your biggest engineering question? What can I help you with right now? We're gonna do just Q&A tonight. So Daniel, thanks again. So Daniel says, my question is, how do you transfer as smoothly as possible to an engineering school from community college? I'm a sophomore and I'm trying to major into civil engineering. Great. So Daniel, I'm a civil engineer. That's what I studied. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering in 2009, so I can help you a lot with that. By the way, guys, the 19 of you that are here, smash that like button. I can see there's one. That way it will help this live stream arrive to more engineers on the newsfeed. So the main question, Daniel, is what you need to do is you need to find a relationship with your, like 2, 3 relationships at your dream university. If you know a professor, if you know somebody there who can help you get through the admissions aspect, that's what you need to do. So you need to show your ambition. You need to show that you are different. And the way to do that is to have a relationship with someone. Let me give you an example. So when I got into grad school, I did not have the grades. I did not have anything I needed. I didn't even take the GRE until after I submitted my application. But I knew a professor there and she got my name on top of the list. Okay, she basically put in a good word for me. Look out for Jake's application. So what you need to be doing is networking with people who are at 2, 3, 4 of your dream schools, Daniel. And if you want more strategy on how to do that, we can talk about that. Make sure you get in the Discord, find the Discord server, guys, and we can continue some of your questions. Sorry if that's my finger, but I'm on my phone, guys, and that's just how it is. Okay, Noor says, I'm taking statics this semester, and I think I'm not enjoying the class that much. That's okay. So to me, the question is this a sign that civil engineering wouldn't be the best major for me? Unfortunately, I think you're right. So statics is sort of the bread and butter core class for not only civil engineering, but mechanical engineering and lots of other engineerings. And statics is mostly just like an applied physics course, okay? So statics is a situation where things aren't moving and you have general forces and you have friction and you have a lot of free body diagrams, but it's considerably more simple, and that's why they call it statics, is because nothing's moving, and dynamics is crazy where everything is moving, your whole system is moving, and then this is moving, and then the inclined plane is moving. And so if you really are struggling with statics, wait till you get to dynamics, thermodynamics, and fluid mechanics. These classes are going to kick your butt, so this could be an early warning sign. Great question. Okay, Harpreet, great. Construction engineering, if you have any questions about that, let me know, because I'm a civil engineer and I sit considerably close to that industry. Azyandi, thank you for the question. I'm an aspiring mechanical engineer. Would I be able to work in the petroleum industry? Maybe. So it depends what you're trying to do. So petroleum, like many fields, is super duper wide, and they hire engineers in all categories. So what you need to think about is, okay, what type of engineering roles would a petroleum engineering industry hire for mechanical engineers, hire within mechanical engineering? Well, you have all the drills and the pumps and the parts, and think about even offshore or fracking. There's all these different industries that require machines and components and designs for the actual devices that are conducting the engineering. So they need mechanical engineers to design the things for that whole sector. So what you could do is you could get a mechanical engineering job for a company that designs things for the petroleum engineering industry. One final thing, I'd actually just recorded a video today that was diagnosing 3 different types of mechanical engineering jobs, and one of them said willingness to work on site and willingness to travel. So that could be something within petroleum engineering also, is that you actually travel to do the deployments and the installs, and you actually see if your design and your analyses are being procured properly at the actual site. So great question. Keep your questions going, guys. If you just arrived, smash that like button. There's only 5 people who've done that. We have a 1% Engineer show that normally releases videos every single Friday, and we're trying to do this live stream on Friday evenings now. We have a Discord channel with over 750 engineers, Facebook group with 2,000, email list with 5,000. So this community is truly growing and is something to be reckoned with. And normally what we're going to be doing is a social happy hour roundtable where it's not just me. We actually have a full team that's working on this project, about 20 people from all around the world, maybe 18 to 20 people. And so you're going to meet more of them. So keep your questions going. If we don't get to your questions tonight, which is very unlikely, then we can ask one of those into the future. So keep the questions going. I'm trying to bring these up right now. Okay, thank you so much. Lots of questions here, guys. Keep them coming. Okay, so Ryan Jones, thank you. Mechanical engineer. Ryan, if you're still here, drop another mention into the chat. Mechanical engineer from AK, I guess that's Arkansas. Struggling through dynamics, but how about finding relationships in a saturated market for engineers to get a job when I finish in about 2 years? Okay, so first of all, what makes you think it's a saturated market? It's not. There's plenty of openings and plenty of engineers. It's just most likely the case that you're not going to stand out because you don't know how to. So the way to do it is to build relationships. 80% of the people who, or 80% of the job openings out there in engineering are not advertised because they want a referral. So the way to stand out is to build relationships. The way to do this is go to LinkedIn and figure out the top 5 people in your area that have the job that you want. What are 5 engineers that have the job in the city that you want to move to, or maybe your current city, that you would trade to have their job? Send them messages and try to do informational interviews with those 5 people. If you don't know what an informational interview is, I made a video about that. It's something that they don't teach in career coaching, which is why this channel is a thing, because they don't teach anybody how to get a job. They just teach you engineering, okay? The next thing that you need to do in order to help yourself is make a list of the top 5 people who are in the engineering industry who can help you. So who's the number 1 professor that you have a relationship? Who's the person who maybe gave you an internship? Who's the person that you did who was a mentor or advisor for your senior design capstone project. Things like this, right? People who are connected to the engineering industry who can help you get a job. Make a list of those 5, make a list of your top 5 dream jobbers, reach out to all of them, and you will be fine. Okay, guys, keep the questions going. Reading through here. This is great. Okay, Evelyn, thank you so much for your question. Does the real engineering world have anything similar to do with what we study in school? So the answer honestly is no. You're not going to do calculus. You're not going to do all this crazy stuff, but it establishes the building blocks and establishes the through line for the things that you need to know. The way that I see it is engineering teaches you how to think, teaches you how to problem solve. So it's not the material, it's just basically giving you a framework and a format and a toolkit to be successful later. I hope that makes sense, Evelyn. Let me know if you have a follow-up question to that. Keep your questions going, guys. Michael from Canada. I'm in the last year of mechanical as a biomed specialization. Is this the right time to pursue a master's? I think it's a decent time to pursue a master's. Beer here, guys, Friday night. Because it's not the time to find a job. Biomedical engineering is already a sector that only has about 19,000 people employed there. So it's incredibly narrow. However, biomedical engineering of all sectors is surging right now and is under particular interest right now because these are the industries that are creating vaccines for COVID-19. These are the industries that are creating additional ventilators and protection PPE devices for healthcare professionals and frontline workers. So at the same time, again, if you have the ability to network and break your way into the job market, that's one thing, but it's also not a bad time to go back to school. I graduated, final thing I'll say about this, I graduated in 2009 in the spring, 6 months after the bottom of the market for the 2008 housing bubble crisis. It was the worst time ever to find a job. And somebody like me I had lots of connections and I had a lot of internships and I had networked really well. I went to grad school immediately after undergrad. So maybe take that into account. So I think it's a really decent time to go to a master's degree program if you have an opportunity for that. Love this, guys. I'm going to start ripping through questions faster because you guys have a lot of really good questions. This is great. So Pepe, thank you so much for this question. I'm from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Awesome. I was just down there last fall visiting a friend. Majoring in mechanical engineering, thinking about doing a YouTube channel. Great. Ask a question, guys. I think that's a great idea, Pepe, but ask a question, guys. Jack says, I plan to study mechanical engineering, and my dream goal is to work in Formula One. I also dream to innovate. Is there anything to look out for to help me on my journey? Absolutely. So, Jack, what you need to do is just build a portfolio, build experience, and build contacts in the automotive industry, okay? So again, pick top 5 people in your city who have automotive engineering roles. You can find them by researching the companies that work in automotive, and then you can figure out using LinkedIn who works at those companies in your city. Then you can find their email addresses and basically just start reaching out to people who actually work in that sector in your city, and you can do informational interviews with those people, and then you can learn more. That's a good place to start. Andrew O'Reilly, thank you. Finally, an electrical engineer from Orlando focusing on power and energy. Awesome. Let us know what question you have. Harpreet Jr., New York City College of Technology. Awesome. I wanted to know what I'm thinking about going into law school. Is it smart during undergrad as a construction engineer? I mean, so I've seen this where people, they get their engineering degree and then they get a law degree, or then they get a medical degree, or then they get another degree to do some sort of very niche thing. I don't think that's your situation. I think that with the name that you have, you're probably an international student who's what I call degree hunting. And like what are you going to do with that law degree after engineering? Do you want to do like engineering law? Is that the plan? If so, go for it. But otherwise, just stacking degrees is not necessarily the path to success. So be goal-oriented, guys. What's your goal? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to get the best engineering job? Because maybe that law degree doesn't actually help you. Are you trying to actually be a lawyer in the engineering sector? Maybe there's another path. But if you stay goal-oriented, if you think about what you're trying to achieve before you even create a plan, you'll make sure that you create the best plan for that goal. Final thing that I'll keep in your minds, guys, think about if you had the fanciest sailboat on the planet, the fastest boat with the best hull and the best crew and the best sails, okay? But if you don't have a plan, if you don't have a goal, if you don't have a map of where you're going, then you just sail around. And it doesn't matter how fancy your boat is, just sailing around sucks. All right, guys, this is fantastic. Let's see here. Structural engineer, fantastic. I'm civil, thank you. 902 Junior. C Cuts, I recognize you. Thanks for stopping by the live stream. How to get more experience in mechanical engineering college as a student. I'm not in a program yet. So what you need to be doing, C Cuts, honestly, if you're not in a program yet, you just need to be emailing local engineers and trying to get informational interviews. An informational interview is when you make friends with somebody, you become a professional acquaintance of them, and essentially you're both sort of like courting each other in the nature that you're going by, you visit them, you learn more about that role, you learn more about that company, and they're investing time in you because they see you as an eligible potential intern, potential new hire. And so you're kind of getting to know each other. They're teaching you about the company, you're teaching them about you. And then it's a lesser risk scenario later on when it comes down to intern selection. So that's what you guys need to be doing. Okay, this is great. Tony, thank you. Do I think transferring to a 4-year school is a good idea during this COVID pandemic, or keep working and save money for a semester until next fall semester, since mostly all activities are canceled? Tony, this is a very good question. It's one that I think is personal, and it has to do with your exact family, financial situation, and also how your local university is handling the response. Because even in my area, I live in the Northeast Corridor. I'm about 30 minutes from Philadelphia, okay, about 2 hours from New York City. And all the universities in my area are handling this massively differently. So it all depends. It all depends. What I want to say is this. If you guys can avoid the fees of the room and board BS, and if you can delay it to save money, I think that's the path. I paid a lot of university tuition to go out of state to my college, University of Delaware, which I do not regret. But if I could do it differently and have less student debt, that's what I would prioritize. So if you can, what up? I just saw the Zaz. I like that name. So if you can prioritize financial savings, that to me should be the priority. An engineering degree is an engineering degree. And waiting another 6 months, waiting another 12 months, that's not really going to stall your career. So it's not a big deal. I think prioritize the finances. This debt that you're going to accumulate is going to be something you're going to have to deal with for 20 to 30 years. So make sure that you don't trivialize that. Zayande, I don't know how to say your name, but I think it's really cool. How important is AutoCAD as a mechanical engineer? Massively important. So AutoCAD and SolidWorks and other types of 3D design and any sort of, CAD just means computer-aided drafting, guys. Any sort of CAD type ecosystem is hugely important for not only mechanical engineering, but especially civil engineering and then also electrical engineering. So the more you can invest in that, and the more you can galvanize those skills, sharpen your teeth, and create some sort of portfolio or experience, the better you're going to be later. Hey, Ryan Jones, thanks for stopping by. Harpreet says, what's the difference between a construction engineer and structure engineer? Do they fall under civil engineering? Absolutely. Both of them are under civil engineering. Construction engineer is more of what they call construction management engineering. So these are the guys who are the engineers that are wearing the white hard hat, and they're out on site with the boots, and they're making sure that the construction teams are doing things properly, okay? You're still an engineer, and it's really cool. Structural engineers are more so the design engineers for bigger buildings and bigger bridges. So they, even though they could be a little bit confused, they're massively different. Structural engineers have a tendency to be technical leaders, and they may commonly go off and get a master's degree to intensify their technical skill set, whereas construction engineers are basically project managers. They just manage people, budgets, and schedules. It's not any design at all. So they're incredibly different in that regard, but still sit side by side in some fashion in front of civil engineering. Gaming Troop, is civil engineering job fulfilling? That all depends. The question was, is you civil engineering job fulfilling? So I left corporate engineering behind. I've been a part of a startup team for 2.5 years. So I actually left civil engineering because it wasn't fulfilling. I wanted to work with more people. I wanted to work with more innovation, and I wanted to do things that were a little bit more weird and creative. And I tried to fashion a custom role for myself for about 6 months with my last employer. And I got impatient and I quit and joined a startup, and that's what I did. So I don't have any regrets. We were on ABC's Shark Tank last fall. Actually, our year anniversary of being on Shark Tank is in 25 days. So I made the right choice. I don't regret it. There's parts of being a real engineer that I miss, but I'm really happy with everything. Good question. Thank you. Ryan Jones, you rock, man. Thank you. You rock, actually. Can civil engineers be a millionaire? Absolutely. Prince Aldos. The way to becoming rich, the way to make the most money as an engineer, because that question is actually asked a lot, is that you got to start a company. You got to be an entrepreneur. You have to do your own thing, because you can never work your way or save your way or invest your way into wealth and riches. This is the part of the reason why I joined this startup, is that if you think you have a lot of value to add, and if you think you can work really hard, then really the only way to get compensated for that in the world is to create something new and literally add more value into the world and solve a problem with your startup so that you and your team are compensated properly. So if you guys really want to get rich and really make a lot of money, then you should be learning things about entrepreneurship. You should study what Elon Musk did from South Africa all the way to building the 5 companies that he has. You should learn about Jeff Bezos and how he got that electrical engineering degree from Stanford and didn't even write the code for Amazon. But now look, he's one of the most wealthy entrepreneurs, the most wealthy engineering entrepreneur on the planet. So that's the way. It's not about which major you choose. It's about becoming an entrepreneur. What else do we have here? Keep your questions, guys, going. Guys, if you're here, drop a like on the chat so more engineers can find this. And go ahead and drop any question, because if I don't even get to it, we got another 38 minutes of live streaming here. Drop your questions in the chat so I can get right to that. Odin, coming up. Mechanical engineering sophomore. I want to focus more on robotics. Should I stay in ME or switch to a different engineering major? What a good question. So Odin, I get a lot of people who want to do either mechatronics or robotics. So just so we're clear, robotics is a category within mechatronics. So how it works is you have mechanical engineering and then you have mechatronics, which is kind of the combination, the hybrid between mechanical and electrical. You have mechanical, and then tronics, which is electronics. So it's mechatronics. So there are very few actual robotics programs around the country, so you're in the right major. You either want to be electrical or mechanical, so you're in the right major. The way that you decide between mechanical or electrical is if you're more on the programming side, then you should be electrical. If you're more on the, you like to tinker and you really like to get in there into SolidWorks and actually physically design individual components, and you don't care as much of the coding and the CS avenue within it, then mechanical engineering is the one for you. I'm seeing a lot of Arabic in the chat. I'm not going to be able to answer those questions, guys. This is sweet. Okay, the Zaz, yo, I'm a new university student planning on mechanical engineering, physics, double major. Don't double major. Definitely don't double major with physics. It's a waste of time. There's nothing that you can do with your life and career with a math degree, a biology degree, a chemistry degree, a physics degree. Nobody cares. You don't get any skills. You don't have employable, hireable skills with a physics degree, okay? What physics degrees do is they go get a really crappy high school physics teaching job, or they're compelled to go get their master's and or PhD to be a real researcher or to be a professor. But your engineering degree is going to get you access to all the same stuff as your physics degree. It's not going to help. Your physics degree is not going to help you at all. So definitely don't double major in physics. I find that to be a huge waste of time. Unless you love physics so much that it's easy and you don't have to take any additional courses and you don't have to incorporate more financial loss by extending your timeline in university. That's the only time that double majoring is worth it. But then it's not worth it ever, to be honest, because I would much rather you invest that time in an engineering club and join an engineering society and do things that are going to, again, continue to galvanize your career and your journey in engineering, because that second major, especially not a physics degree, is never going to help you. So really good question, but a super duper decisive answer for, in my opinion, for that. Okay, let's see. Musa says, "Hey Jake, have you read or watched? For some reason, I can't see your chat. Uh, is Dilbert more accurate about engineering than Stark?" Musa, I'm sorry, I don't understand your question, but re-ask it. It's like cut off or something. Baccarine, Have you experienced or know of anyone who has gone from a physics or earth science undergrad into a civil engineering PhD? With a physics with a physics undergrad, see, this is one of the exceptions to what I just said. Physics undergrad is one of the more challenging ones. You can pretty much get into any master's or PhD program with a physics degree. Um, Earth science, not as clear, but honestly, if you have a physics degree under your belt, you can get into whatever you want. It's like a math degree. So when I was touring graduate schools, I actually did those tours with a bunch of physics majors and math majors because they knew they couldn't do anything with their undergrad degree. So they were basically looking at graduate appointments and opportunities. And they could get into engineering schools with just physics or just math. So, good question. Let's see here. Hello, I'm from someplace, university, some acronym I don't recommend. Thinking of EE and AE, what do you think of choose one? I guess they're talking about electrical engineering versus aerospace engineering. So technically, aerospace engineering is a part of mechanical engineering. So I find the comparison of electrical engineering and aerospace engineering to kind of not really be a necessary comparison. So I'm not gonna respond to that. I hear a lot of people asking, can a mechanical engineer become an aerospace engineer? And that answer is absolutely yes. You need to take your technical electives in aerospace engineering. You need to build your relationships in aerospace engineering, and you need to take your internships and research appointments and volunteer efforts within aerospace engineering. If you do that properly, you will be well positioned to compete with the master's students in aerospace engineering, because a lot of people do get master's degrees, but you don't need it. Had undergrad with a law degree, some sort of about patent law. Okay, awesome, that's cool. Yeah, if you want to get into patent law for your career, then you should not be talking about engineering anyway. It's you having an engineering degree and then getting into patent law. It's not going to help you get into patent law. So there are a lot of people who go into law school with engineering degrees. That's fine, but I think you need to decide. Because becoming a patent attorney sounds like you're going to be a patent attorney. You're going to have to essentially leave your engineering journey behind. Oliver, thank you. Recently graduated with civil engineering degree from Cal Poly Pomona. Awesome school. I think we've interviewed somebody from that school. I went into management. Is it a good idea to go for a master's degree now or wait since I am currently working? It depends. So good question, Oliver. What would make you want to go now? So the reason to go now is because you don't have a job, you don't have an opportunity. If you have a job during COVID, keep it. What you should figure out is, will your employer pay for it? Will they fund your either Master's of Science or your MBA or whatever? A lot of companies will. So it doesn't matter, like what I think about it. What a lot of people should do is they work for 4 or 5 years, figure out what they really like and what they want to do, get their feet wet, sharpen their teeth, and make sure that they don't get the wrong master's degree. A lot of people jump right in, they don't have any experience. This is what I did. And they get a master's degree and they study something that actually isn't the best fit for them. So in the middle of my graduate appointment, which I was a research assistantship at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, so I was writing a 100-page thesis paper and I hated it. But I didn't know I hated it until I got there. And so imagine me trying to pick, the next step without knowing that I hated it. So you kind of got to just go and get started with your work and get your feet wet in the industry to know if this is the right move. Because if I had done research professionally, then I probably wouldn't have gone to grad school for research and done the whole master's thing, because I didn't really know what it was before I got there. And then I was like, oh, this sucks. So a lot of people have that experience. Awesome questions, guys. Keep them coming. Let's see here. almost at the next one. Thanks, Zaz, for all the engagement. Daniel Owens. Do you know what would be the difference between military, private, and public sectors for civil engineering, and what is your insight on each sector? Great question. Daniel, are you still here? I almost want to make sure I can actually go in so much on this question that I really want to make sure you're still here. Daniel, are you still here? I'm going to move on to the next question, but I just want to really make sure that you are before we go into that. Let's see here. Jack, is online school better than face-to-face engineering study? So as far as I know, I mean, are you talking about COVID online or are you talking about a full online degree? Because there's definitely no way to replace an engineering professor who's right there, hands-on, like helping you with projects. So I don't actually quite understand your question. So maybe expand that. Daniel, I'm not seeing you in the chat as a follow-up, so I'm going to assume you're not here. But I want to encourage you to jump in the Discord and continue to ask those types of questions. I'm trying to find my charger here, guys. Oh, Daniel, you're here. Okay, so your question was private versus military versus public. So essentially, the big difference is between private versus public. Okay, so I've actually worked for all of them. I worked for the Federal Highway Administration as an intern. I've worked for a Canadian engineering firm, an American engineering firm, and I've also worked for Startup Ecosystem, and then also had a research appointment formally for the University of Delaware for about 18 months. So I've actually seen all of it. So don't know about military contracting. However, we've talked to a whole bunch of Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, and mostly aerospace defense contracting people. So the big difference are these. So private moves fast, they make money, they usually are the recipients of government contracts. And so private sector, almost all the firms, Jacobs and AECOM and all Bechtel and Honeywell, all of these guys are private firms, okay? They're trying to make money, win contracts, move fast, stay under budget, stay under timeline, go, 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 win the award, win the medal, get it going, okay? And so you feel that pressure. You're also paid accordingly. Public sector is if you worked for the Department of Transportation, the Department of Defense, the Department of Aviation, something like this. You're more in a regulatory role if you are here. Or you're in a project management sort of upper level quarterly earnings type of management scenario where you're just making sure that the private companies that you hire, because that's how it works, for example, like NASA is a government contract, is a government body, okay? NASA hires Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, SpaceX, these companies to do their bidding. And they don't really care about the timelines and the budgets and all that because they're just government employees. You know, they're never going to get fired. They're never going to get written up. They're never going to get anything. And so they're essentially polar opposites, private versus public. Private is trying to get these guys to respond to emails. None of them work on Fridays. They check out at 3:30. It's ridiculous, okay? So military, honestly, I don't really have the best experience. I also don't have a friend or a close person who could actually respond to this. But we have a friend on the team. His name is Sean Mazer. I don't know if Sean is listening, but Sean is actually right now trying to get into the Canadian Armed Forces as an engineer. And so he certainly knows more about that. So Daniel, if you want, get into the Discord, okay? The link is in any of the videos. Get into the Discord. DM me or find a way to get in touch with me. My email is in every single video. You can figure it out. I can connect you to Sean and we can do a deeper dive on that question. How's that sound, Daniel? All right, awesome questions, guys. Let's see here. Keep them going. Got about 27 minutes yet. We're going to start doing rapid fire at about 45. Can you share? Oh, the hardest university ever. That's funny. Doug the Pug. Love that. Can you share any tips for studying and staying on top of your workflow, mechatronics and computer science? What does that mean, Doug? Are you double majoring in mechatronics and computer science? I don't believe you. I think what you're doing is you have a computer science major and you have a custom emphasis within mechatronics, because I know there's only a couple of mechatronics degrees in the nation. Okay, so my tips for studying is the space and repetition method. So if you do Google that, Google space and repetition method. So if you start earlier and you space out and gap out your studying, you actually need to study substantially less. For example, let's say about 10 hours of studying is all you could do before a final exam. Okay, the final exam is tomorrow. You could do 10 hours of studying today, go to sleep and wake up, or you could start 10 weeks ago, do an hour. Week 9, hour. Week 8, hour, right? So that's the space and repetition method. And the research shows that you have to invest substantially less time if you create more time for your neural connections to fuse, give more sleeps, more REM cycles of thinking about what you learned. And this is my tips for study. Other tips for studying is study with a group. I was never able to study by myself, not because I couldn't stay focused, but because I wasn't as smart as my friends. And so it made more sense to study with them. The third thing is be realistic about study expectations. I used to sit there and think that I could just stare at my book for 4 hours. And then I realized that human beings have this attention sort of cool down, attention residue scenario where you actually really can't pay attention to something more than like 15 to 20 to 25 minutes. So a lot of people, what I do now, do 25-minute timer, study for 25, bell goes off, 5 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Oliver, the Discord link is in every video. I'm sorry I did not prep this live stream video, but go to the channel, go to any video, and you're gonna see the Discord link. So those are my 3 tips around how you can be a better studier. I hope that helped. Pretty soon, guys, I would love to have, yeah, no problem, Ozyandi. Pretty soon, guys, I would love to have you guys be dropping questions in the general tab in the Discord because I can see I'm not going to be able to get to everything. Okay, good. I'm all caught up on this. I don't want to miss a question. So let's see here. As a civil engineering student, so this is Harold. Thank you, Harold. As a civil engineering student, I am restricted to this field, or can I hop into different unrelated directions like finance and computing? Yeah, absolutely. So with an engineering degree, you can do whatever you need. It's more important that you have the skills, you have the connections, and you have the portfolio to get you into this sector, whether it be adjacent, peripheral, parallel, whatever. But you need, again, the connections, the skills, and the portfolio to get you there. Okay, if you're facing problems with math, then leave this stream right now because you're not going to be an engineer. Sorry, it's just how it is. It's one of the big things. I get that question all the time. Can I still be an engineer if I'm bad at math? The answer is no. That's just the facts. I was a civil engineer, one of the easiest engineering degrees, and I still took 6 engineering maths, not just regular maths, could not take the same calculus as the business majors, and then on top of that, a statistics course, and then in grad school, more math. So to anybody who thinks that like, oh yeah, I'm just not, like engineering is essentially math meets physics. So you have to be good at math. You got to be good enough to be able to survive. And that was me. I wasn't great at math, just good enough, you know? I took AP Calc and AP Stat in high school and then got my butt kicked in university. But math, just like Christian said in the chat, was the way to go. All right, scrolling through all these comments here. Why is there always a debate on architects and civil engineering? This is so great. Harpreet, I'm so happy you asked this. Okay, so everybody knows that there's left brain, right brain, okay? And they debunk the fact that you can be one or the other. They're more of a blend. I see myself as like 65% left brain, 35% right brain. Left brain is the math and science. All of you, 1% Nation, as you're listening, most of you are left brained. So architects are like the right-brained civil engineer, okay? So there's just a little, they're good at math, good enough, and they're good enough at physics, but there's just a little bit more attention to design and aesthetics and how it looks and feels and integrates into other things around the ecosystem. And this is just how it is. And I did make a video called Engineering versus Architecture, and I kind of flamed architects. For a decent reason, this is what it is. But at the same time, we got to give architects a little bit of credit because architects, they take the engineering plan and make it be something that people will want to use and actually create. They're better visionaries with some things. And there's some things that architects do considerably better than engineers, but at the same time, you take an engineer out of the equation and an architect doesn't really know how to make this thing stand up and survive for 50 years. They certainly don't have the expertise to project manage this thing. They certainly don't have the expertise to pick out the components and ingredients and specifications within if you're talking about the budgeting and what do we buy for this? How do we do this the cheapest and the fastest? Architects don't care about that sort of thing. And this is why, for every one architect, there's about 130,000 architects employed in America. There's 3 civil engineers. There's 350,000 civil engineers. So not quite 1-to-3 ratio, but getting really close. And I'm a civil engineer, so I've talked quite a lot about this. Guys, if you're chatting in Arabic in the chat, I really appreciate that you're able to connect with each other, but nobody else knows what you're saying. And also, it's just sections that I can't read the comments. What I would love for you guys to do is join the 1% Engineer Discord channel, and let's create an Arabic server there, an Arabic channel there, and you guys can connect. I love that. Which sector pays the most, private or public? So public doesn't pay any money. Public has better benefits. You might get like 7 or 8 weeks of vacation time, but if you want money, you got to go private. And the more private you go, the more intense you go in the private sector, think like SpaceX or a startup, Silicon Valley, the more money you're going to make. I'm doing a robotics major and doubling with computer science. No, you're not. Oh, yeah, we already talked about that. You can't major in robotics. Like, I just don't. Unless you go to one of these niche schools. And if you're going to major in robotics, you're certainly not double majoring in computer science. It just sounds weird to me. You're probably, again, you're majoring in computer science and you have some sort of tech elective emphasis with robotics. Structural engineer from Australia. TK, love that. Where's the Discord link? Already got to that. What is the best certificate for civil engineering and construction engineering? Allow Harb, I don't think we come from the same country because best certificate, I don't know what your question means. What's the best degree? Yeah, I don't know what your question is. How important is GPA? Jarrett Roberts, what a good question. Thank you so much. I've looked at people hiring and they all give 3+. Everybody says 3.0+. I put 3.0 on my resume, even though I barely have that. And so GPA doesn't matter. 80% of jobs are not advertised. This is the same for the engineering sector. So what matters the most is your networking and your ability to have a connection of a connection of a connection that has a job. GPA is just a hard filter. So most people just submit a resume. So if you submit a resume that has a 2.85 GPA, you put that on the resume, which is stupid because if you have a 2.85 GPA, put 3.1. Trust me, just do it because they're not going to backtrack it. They're not. But it's just a way to hard filter it. And if you put 3.87 on your resume, they're not going to check that shit either. But it makes you just kind of stand out. It's just a hard filtering mechanic. It doesn't really matter. Now, if you're getting into grad school, especially if you want to be a doctoral student, PhD student one day, GPA really matters. And if you want to do things like work for the government, the EPA, or be like a NASA contractor, or be a part of these hyper competitive engineering teams, that's different. But for the most part, I've had plenty of friends because I was one of them who had a balanced social life and did not bust their butt to get a 4.0 in university and got like a 2.9, 3.0, 3.1, and everything was fine. So don't worry about GPA. Honestly, I denounce GPA every single day. All right, Oliver, no problem. The Zaz, why you keep deleting your comments? What's this about? Civil engineering, Big M, love it. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Math, math, math. Christian, thank you. Oh, Sahib, so when you reminded me and said you missed my question, frowny face, you should have said what the question is because I'm reading that I missed your question, but you didn't remind me what it was. So re-mention it, please. Oliver, awesome, thank you. No engineer sits in an office doing math equations, though. Yeah, but you still need tons and tons of math, so I don't know what you're trying to say. But it's true, but you still need tons and tons of math. You put it in a spreadsheet once and you're set. No, this is not true. This is the type of attitude that will get you burned professionally because you still need to know what that spreadsheet's doing, okay? So if you don't know the math, you can't build a spreadsheet. And then imagine you executing that spreadsheet in a board meeting and then you don't know what you're doing or the spreadsheet breaks or some stupid team member hits delete in a cell and you don't know how to rebuild the formula on the fly in front of your regional director. So it's like, don't trivialize the math within engineering. If you could tell 5 things to your 18-year-old self, what would it be? Holy crap, what a cool question, Robert. Okay, Only hang out with people who you know are going to be successful. Google the Jim Rohn effect, okay? Talk to your professors and make good friends with your professors. Go to their office hours. Stay after class. Ask questions. Be the one that they know you're the top 2, top 3 students. Your professors are connected to people all around the world. And it took me 4 years to figure this out, but I had one professor give me an opportunity that changed my life. And if I had done this with all of my professors, imagine what would have happened for me. Pick up new things and do them even though you are not sure if it's going to be around. So if somebody's experimenting with a new software, a new calculator, a new something for your engineering field, do it, pick it up, taste it. Never be the person when a new idea comes around. We're talking about disruption here, guys. When a new idea comes around, never be the person to dismiss a new idea. Always take it in, taste it, feel it, test it out, and see what you think. And then still never denounce an idea until you absolutely know, because that's massively dangerous. We're still getting into the top 5 things I would tell my younger self. 5 is a lot to think of on the fly. I think the fourth thing would be I didn't realize who I wanted to be like and who I wanted to emulate and who I wanted to be as a role model, whether they be right in front of me or afar, until I was in my early to late 20s, to be honest. So I think what you should be doing is picking engineers who you want to be like, okay? Do you want to be an engineer who actually changes the planet? Do you want to be an engineer who goes to space? Do you want to be an engineer who starts all types of different projects like Peter Diamandis? Do you want to be a super duper entrepreneurial engineer like Jeff Bezos, right? Find a sage, find a model, and create a path for you that you can see. And then along the way, you're going to forge your own path. And then fifth is chase what's interesting to you, and don't think that you have a plan that you're abandoning or something. Engineers, oftentimes, I did this to myself for years. Engineers, what they do is they invest time, money, resources into a plan, and then they don't want to abandon that plan and pivot when their heart is telling them otherwise, or they're not feeling it with this certain partner, or they're not sure about this employer that they have. But be able to have the willingness to destroy, and have the willingness to just go with your instincts, and don't be so rigid on the plan. Engineers are often too rigid. Those are the top 5. What a good question. I really appreciated that question. Thank you for that. So here we are, grand finale, 14 minutes. We're going to go into a lightning round. I'm going to give you guys faster answers, so keep the questions going. And the questions, the 46 of you that are here right now, the questions that you were not able to get out, drop into the Discord channel, go into the general chat, and I'll make sure that we get those questions out to you as soon as possible. Thanks again, one presentation. If you're not subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe, because we release videos every Friday. This Friday was a little bit delayed because we actually just officially got sponsored, and we have a sponsor video that I have been formally procrastinating. I would love one of you to ask another study question, or a procrastination question, or a productivity question, so I can tell you about that experience, and so you can learn from the things that I just learned myself. How much does a civil engineer in Canada get paid? Pretty similar to an American civil engineer. I think starting average civil engineering salary nowadays is like 60,000, something like that. I started out as 55 in Chicago, and then kind of moved up from there. I got transferred to an international gig and negotiated the hell out of that, and that was really good. Architecture at McGill is what you're saying right now. Big M, I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, you guys are having a conversation in the chat. Being from South Africa and studying civil engineering, how can one get an international opportunity? You need to meet people in the country that you want that opportunity. You need to find somebody and build a relationship on LinkedIn with that person who can give you an opportunity. Want to know a nice hack? If you're from South Africa and say you want to get a job in London, then you need to go to LinkedIn, and there is the creative actual filter advanced options within LinkedIn, so you can say went to my university in South Africa and has a job in London, has a job in Paris, has a job in Singapore, and you can find somebody who has the same alma mater as you, and you can send them a message who they have your dream job, they live in your dream city, and that's your access to that location. Does that make sense? What are necessary skills for civil engineers to stand out? Again, the only thing that you need to stand out is your networking ability. You need to know people. You need to be the person who asks nice questions at a conference. You need to be the person who actually wows somebody with a proposal, or sorry, a portfolio. You need to be the person who messages somebody on LinkedIn and asks for an informational interview, because nobody else, I know none of you have heard of that, but it is incredibly rare that some professional actually gets reached out to by 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old college student about just learning more about their position and their role. That's what an informational interview is. So that's how you stand out. Biomedical engineering is a great career. There's only 19,000 engineers who are employed in that avenue in America, but I think it's booming during COVID, so I don't think it's a bad avenue right now. It's just quite niche. Hate to be that guy, but they debunked the left brain. Yeah, I said that. I said that, Cusack. They did debunk the left brain, right brain thing. They debunked the fact that for a long time they said you were either one or the other. And they know that you're more of a hybrid. That's why I label myself as about 65% left, 35% right. So I appreciate that, but I was already talking about that. All right. Grand finale of questions here. Computer engineering, any advice on where to direct my spare time in order to do what? To be goal oriented. So Jana, I actually did a video a couple weeks ago, actually called this, what can engineering students do in their free time? We did the top 7 tips. One of them was build a portfolio. One of them was network. One of them was 5 other tips in that video. What do you think? Carlos, what do you think about industrial engineering versus mechatronics? Okay, so industrial engineering has blown me away in the last 5-6 months. I did not realize, but there are 285,000 industrial engineers employed in America. It actually comes in 4th. Civil has over 300,000, electrical, mechanical, both of them, or all 3 of them are over 300,000, and next is industrial. So I think industrial is a compelling career and clearly has demand. So I don't think that you should deviate from it if you're interested in it. To me, industrial engineering has 2 avenues. You have people who take on the manufacturing engineering route, and then you have people like myself, because I was a traffic engineer in graduate school. It's more the human factors, the ergonomics, designing things for safety, designing things for speed, designing things for efficiency. This is very cool, and I do not think that the field is fading very much in the future. Majoring in computer engineering, but a hard time motivating myself to study, especially in these times. Absolutely, Mickey. So the thing that's helping me right now is I have this thing, I'm coming off of one right now, but maybe 3 times a year I get into a little bit of a rut where, it's hard to find that motivation, it's hard to find that inspiration, it's hard to find that spark to get up and do something, especially if you've had like a couple days of like, I don't really feel like doing this. So I watched a video about a year ago about getting out of a rut, and there was a couple things that really stuck with me, but one of them is just about momentum, okay? So if you're having trouble studying, if you're having trouble wrapping up that project for engineering, and say you've been through like Friday, you're like, okay, I'll study a little bit today, and then I'll go party with my friends, and then that studying never happened. And then you told yourself Friday night, like, okay, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, and I'm gonna study all day Saturday. And then Saturday came around and, you didn't really open your book. And then Sunday, you're like, okay, you're starting to feel anxious. You're getting the Sunday scaries. And now you actually have to do something. So the way to actually make sure that Sunday doesn't turn into Monday, doesn't turn into Tuesday, is just get started with small wins, right? Wash all your dishes. Do your laundry. Maybe do a quick little workout, right? And what's going to happen is every time you do something is you're going to get that dopamine released. You're going to cross something off your to-do list. You're accomplishing things that are necessary for your human survival. That's what dopamine is. Usually it's achieving food or achieving a new mate or something. That's why you feel good about eating food or oh yeah, there's our destination. That feeling, oh yeah, there, I think I see it in the distance. That's dopamine, or that feeling when you cross off something in your to-do list. So what you need to do is create a dopamine domino effect, okay? And so when I'm feeling in a rut, get up, I did exactly what I told you guys. Wash the dishes, do my laundry, do a couple push-ups and work out, and I'm like, woo! And then after that first hour of the day, you can very easily get into the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. The other thing that I'll mention for this, the final thing about this is that Your energy and your willpower and your focus are all meters that are fixed, that get depleted throughout the day, and your willpower and your focus, especially willpower, get depleted just as much as your ability to stay up, your ability to do anything else. So to sit down and do something that requires more focus, that might be more frustrating, that may be hard to understand, it's massively more challenging to do that at the end of the day with less willpower, less focus. This is why it's easy at the end of a real busy day to get home and slip up and cheat on your diet and eat that piece of cake, because your willpower is over at the end of the day. So just do the hard stuff early and create a domino effect in order to create momentum. So grand finale, if you're still here in the chat and I haven't gotten to your question and you're still here, re-ask it, because if you're gone, then I don't want to answer these questions. So start re-asking questions in the chat here. John C, just started mechanical engineering this fall, work on cars, want to help my neighbor build engines. Awesome. Ask a question, guys. Kevin, big time. Oh, there you guys are chatting. What do engineers actually do in the workforce compared to college? What a great question, Jay. So I just made a video for civil engineering. What do civil engineers actually do? So that's out. And then for mechanical engineers, that's actually the video that I filmed today. What a good question, because so many people talk about what it's like to be in that major, and nobody talks about what it's like to actually be an engineer. So I broke down what it's like to be a Starlink engineer for SpaceX, an automotive engineer for General Motors, and a product design engineer for Honeywell, that massive engineering firm. So that video is going to be out pretty soon, in just a couple of days. So grand finale questions here, guys. Ask them. Jacob says, what do you think about engineering physics? What can you do with it, and is it worth it? I mean, I don't hear a lot about engineering physics, so I don't have a lot to say. If you are somebody who's massively in love with physics and you would potentially major in that instead of engineering, I think engineering physics is a better stepping stone for you. But if you can choose a typical engineering degree, I think that's the way to go. Symphony says, what do civil engineers do in the construction sector? So I answered this already. Construction engineers, civil engineers in construction sector, let's just call it construction engineering. You're more on site. You're making sure that the schedule, the budgets, and the timelines and the responsibilities and duties are all happening in accordance to the plan. And so this is the most hands-on engineering of all time. You usually are in one of those construction trailers for 3, 4, 5 days. You might have to travel. You get paid a lot of money. It's pretty intense. It's a lot of communication, but it's massively different from a typical civil engineering job, which is primarily in the office, designing things, working in CAD, that sort of thing. Big M, should I do a master's in civil engineering? If so, which branch? Again, be goal-oriented. Why do you want to get a master's, okay? Do you want to be more of a technical thought leader? Are you a communicator and a leader like me? In which case, you should be getting an MBA and not a master's of science. Are you doing it because you have funding and an opportunity? Are you doing it because it's really hard to get a job right now during COVID? I think it's really important to not just ask, should I do a master's in civil? I want to know a little bit more about why you're considering it, and then also what the goal is with that master's. Because a lot of people just want to get another degree to get another degree, and that doesn't exactly get you to where you're going. Q Josic, thank you. I'm going back to school for mechanical engineering. Just had twins last year. Awesome. Congratulations. Hopefully they're both healthy. Put that on hold for now. Any tips for school while having a young family? What does any tips for school mean? Again, guys, you got to get really specific with your questions. Any tips for what? For staying, so you put it on hold. So what does that mean? Tips for what? Just learning more? Are you back in school? Like I feel like there's a little bit of a void in your question, Q Josek. So let me know tips for what? Let me know that. John C, any advice for breaking into the automotive sector specifically? Absolutely. What a good question. See, that's a really good specific question. So what you need to here's the playbook, all right? Write down the places where you want to work. If that's your home city, backyard, great. Write down the top 5 people who you know right now that can help you get a job. Examples are your #1 relationship in university, your top professor, your intern boss, somebody that you did other work with or research, or somebody who was a contact, maybe a guest speaker for a club. You most likely had another professorial liaison or connection for either your senior design course or things like this. Maybe you had an engineering team or an engineering club where you had a professional engineering advisor. But all of you have access to 3 to 5 engineers who are working in your backyard right now who can help you introduce you to somebody who might hire you. Those are the 5 that you need to start with. The next 5 is create a list of 5 people who have the job that you want, who sit in the city that you desire. So that way you can create essentially a profile of people that basically sit in the job that you want, and you can reach out to them and message them and start to build that relationship, and maybe they'll be hiring by the time you're ready to make that ask. That's the playbook. No problem, Big M. Which civil engineering division, Symphony, you have really good questions. Which civil engineering division is in the most demand? Okay, so civil engineering, for the most part, is all structures. It's all bridges and buildings. So that one, we're always building bridges and buildings. Honestly, civil engineering, all of them are always in constant demand. So transportation, constantly, that's what I was. Geotechnical, which is building the foundations and doing all the infrastructure stuff for the buildings and the bridges. Coastal work, if anything, is probably waning a little bit because infrastructure is up right now. And then environmental is the 5th bracket, and so that one's never going away. If anything, environmental is increasing. And I was happy to find that there are, I think, 55,000 environmental engineers hired in America. That's pretty good. I did not know it was that high. So I think anything besides coastal. I don't think anybody cares about coastal, like water resources, particularly coastal engineering. I don't hear as much about that right now. This is how these live streams historically went 3 hours, because the questions never stop. Johnny C. Oh, I already asked someone. Frezaz. Thank you. I'm a 3rd-year civil engineering student at University of Toronto. Awesome. Love Toronto. Thank you for mentioning that. Should I choose between structural engineering and construction management? Wow, a lot of you guys have questions between structural and construction management. Which do you think have a better future? Well, it depends on you, because they're massively different. So for us, what you got to decide is, how technical are you? Do you like BIM and BRIM? Do you like the softwares and CAD, and you're more of an office worker and you want to make the designs and the calculations and do the analysis and actually put pen to paper, either analog or digitally, and create something that's going to be built. Construction management, you're the engineer wearing the white hard hat. You're on site, and you're most likely to have an office in the trailer, and you got the whole team that you're running. You're making sure that they're staying on budget, on time, on schedule, all these things. But you're right there on the job. You're not doing any design. You're making sure that these hundreds of millions of dollars are being spent according to plan. And you're making sure that these construction teams, you're interacting with the construction foreman one-on-one all the time, are not messing stuff up. You're making sure that your engineering team didn't mess up something for them, because this is a constant feud between the construction team and the engineering team. Engineers mess up all the time, construction people mess up all the time, and they all blame each other. So you get to be the one who makes that happen productively. All right, guys, just going to take a couple more questions here, then we're going to drop them into Discord General Chat Show. Thanks again for being here so much. The 40 of you who are still here for the chat, make sure you subscribe, because we're about to start doing this live stream every single Friday night. We're going to maintain the release. I know there hasn't been a video out for a little bit, but because we're working on sponsorship content now, it's a new era, a new day for 1% Nation. So thank you so much for all of you being here. Make sure you subscribe. I'm going to do, let's call it 5 more questions. If I haven't gotten to your question yet, go into the link, the Discord link, okay? I don't have the ability to drop it in the chat because I'm on my phone right now. Sorry about that. But click on any video. Click on the video that came out. Oh, my phone's about to die. Sorry, guys. Click on the video. Click on any video. Click on any video. It's fine. Yeah, I think it's good now. I'm definitely on 1%. Yep. Click on any video and go over to the link, and there's a Discord in the top 3 links of any video. So let's get to these final 5 videos. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm on my phone, so I don't have the ability to do the link. So if anybody else can go grab that link, drop it into chat. If there's any team members here, hint, hint, hint. Thank you so much. Okay, grand finale. Let's do 5 more questions here. Yo, Bell, thank you. How important are soft skills when becoming a well-balanced engineer? In quotes, do I think speaking, writing, and presenting claim to be a great stake? Oh my goodness. I'm so happy you asked this. Soft skills are 95% of how you're going to be successful. When we hire at our startup, we don't really care what your resume says, what you've done, what your skills are. If you can't communicate it to us, like it doesn't matter how good your ideas are. If you can't communicate them, if you can't write them down, if you can't work together in a team to rap about these ideas, then who cares how good your ideas are? So soft skills are actually the most important, okay? And historically, engineers have no ability to communicate or work with their team. And so if you do in this era, 2020 leading forward, then you will certainly stand out and you're gonna crush it. So great question. Okay, 4 more questions. Which engineering degree would you suggest avoiding? I don't like petroleum because oil. I don't like plastics engineering because plastic. I don't like, yeah, there's very few. Just the ones that are bad for the world. Just the ones that produce products and things that are not good. So there's not a lot of them. Chemical engineering is really changing. There's a lot of nanotechnology and sort of sustainable non-chemical processes that threaten some chemical engineering avenues right now. So that one's not as bullish. Bullish meaning positive, bearish meaning negative. What do electrical engineering do in the construction sector? Interesting. So electrical engineering, if anything, they will work with the heating, ventilation, and the air conditioning systems within a building. There's also a lot of other intelligent systems within buildings nowadays. Again, most of it is like airflow or systems or like building stacks and management. Yeah, okay. 3 more questions. Any tips for getting back to school after not being in school for a year, planning on taking Cal 3? I mean, just get the domino effect going, Q Josek. Start with momentum. Just get back into a routine. Study once a day and study with other people and reward yourself after a productive study session and treat yourself with a little bit of look in the mirror self-awareness if you skipped out. I feel like when you're getting back into school after taking a year off, it's more of a discipline exercise is what you need to focus on. It's not about engineering, it's about discipline. How do you beat someone such as from MIT or Harvard when it comes to a PhD position coming from a state school? So, Robert, do you have to worry about that? Like, how do you know you're competing against MIT and Harvard people? So the way to compete against them is you need to have relationships with those professors. Again, I got into grad school because I went to my professor, Dr. Sue McNeil at the University of Delaware. She's an Australian civil engineering professor who runs the Disaster Management Institute right here, 30 minutes away from where I sit right now. I spoke to her. I said, Dr. McNeil, I need to get into grad school. What do I do? She said, apply here, Virginia, Purdue, Georgia Tech, and Wisconsin. I didn't get into any of those 3, but the person at Wisconsin, she called them and said, hey, I have this person. I think you should really consider them. And they gave me a shot. So that to me is the best way to compete, is to specifically make yourself more applicable for that school. And most notably, build a relationship with the individual who holds the opportunity that you seek. That's the way. Otherwise, if you don't have the opportunity to do that, then you need to do all that extracurricular stuff, okay? Join that club. Start a club, okay? Start an engineering society. Start a chapter of a society, right? Go travel for international competitions too, right? Like Steel Bridge and Concrete Canoe and the Traffic Bowl and Solar Power Car. There's so many different competitions that you can participate in where you can meet more people, you can galvanize yourself. You essentially need to intensify your resume as much as possible if you're trying to compete with MIT and Harvard type undergraduate majors for your PhD appointment. Okay, last question. Who wants to be the last question? Last question. Honestly, whoever wants to drop in the last question, because I don't want to scroll all the way back through here. What are the top 3 CAD programming languages for mechanical engineers? SolidWorks, Revit, and NX. Last question. Yep, well, ask the question, bro. No problem. Simple. Everybody join the Discord. Make sure you subscribe. Videos come out every Friday. We're going to be doing this live stream quite a bit more. Last question. What's the question, though? Live stream is delayed by about 20 seconds. So whenever you guys hear something from me, I'm sitting here waiting. How important is English for being a good engineer? I'm not even going to ask this. Yeah, in order to work in the West, you need to have excellent English. Is it okay to shift? Keep them coming, guys, because these aren't grand finale type questions. Is it okay to shift IT fields for good salaries? I don't know what that question means. EE or AE? You already asked that question, bro. Are you meaning electrical engineering versus aerospace engineering? They're not even in the same core engineering. No problem, Robert. Thank you. Okay, here's a good last question. For PhD positions, wait, this isn't a good question. For PhD positions, research matters. Okay, ask a question. What do you think about Earth and atmospheric science as a major? Don't major in that. Major in engineering. None of these are good last questions. Unless I get a good grand finale question, this stream is going to go on forever. All right, guys, seriously. Somebody put in like a 4-line question, not 4 sentence, but like a nice paragraph question with context, and to be something that we haven't talked about yet, to be the grand finale. The 37 of you here, I know you got something. Man, answer a question about the best certificate. What does certificate mean? See, I'm here in the United States. I don't know what a certificate in civil engineering. And the best certificate, I don't know what that means. So sorry, but the question that you're providing here is not something that I know how to ask. And I also commented on that question before. So don't give me some attitude, oh, lol, Harb, you're about to get banned forever. What entrepreneurial advice can you give to civil engineers? Find problems. Great question. You have really good questions. Symphony. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but please message me in the Discord because I'd love to recruit you for a brand ambassador or a core team role or something. But I really like how you think. So please find a way to send me an email, send me a DM on Instagram. I'd love to talk to you about joining our team, okay? All you need to do is solve problems. So detect where people have pain points and where people complain, where people waste time, where people struggle and are essentially, yeah, pain points, okay? And if you can build something that makes that easier for them, that solves that problem, that at least alleviates some of that pain, then you don't need to sell anything, okay? People complain that they couldn't keep track of their friends from high school. Well, here's Facebook. You don't need to explain it. People complained about the cab system. I hate hailing a cab. I can't find the number. I gotta go out in the rain and wait for the stupid cab. Well, here's Uber, okay? I hate booking a hotel. I know I'm getting gouged for this and all these taxes and fees, and it's just a bed. Why do I want to be here? Airbnb, right? So you have to solve a problem. So listen to the problems in the arenas that you know about and then actually do that. So since that wasn't technically an engineering question, we're going to do one more. Daniel, I like you because you've been in the stream the whole time. Last question. So Robert, maybe I'll get to yours, but Daniel, here it is. What do I think? Okay, Olau. Great. I understand. Thank you for that. Thank you for that clarification. What do I think of earning a PM certificate for civil engineering in the U.S. if you want to be? Yeah, I think that's great. I think PMP, I see that after a lot of engineering name or titles. I think that's really good, but if you really want to be a boss, get your MBA. That's really going to be the difference between something and something plus the next step. So, Olau, this goes for you. So being LEED certified and being PMP, project, they're all really good. Nobody really cares because they're just certificates where you take a class. Excuse me. Drinking this beer, it's making me burp. You take a class and then you sit down for some tests and all of a sudden you got 3-4 new letters after your name. Nobody really cares about any of that. Yeah, there are certain scenarios where they say, hey, you got to be LEED certified, but nobody really cares. Like nobody's giving you credit. That MBA though, if you have that, that'll give you a little bit of distinction versus other people. So grand finale, Robert Torres, I'm going to give you this one. Does that personality beat out somebody that is better for the position? Absolutely. If I like you or if we can connect and relate or you have, or if, somebody like you has something that is different or stands out, like that always is going to be preferable versus skills, specifically if you know somebody who knows us on the hiring team, right? So that's what it is, guys. Final question, Q Josak, this is about get to the moon by 2030. I think we're sending people to the moon by like 2024, 2025. Get there? Yeah. But actually start a colony, Mars by 2030? Yeah, I think we'll go. I think we'll send people. Thanks so much. Oh, your name is Peter. Okay, no problem. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Okay, guys, thanks so much for the live stream. The 33 of you who are still here, I really appreciate that. Make sure you subscribe so we can keep in touch forever, and join the Discord. Go over to any channel. I'm sorry that the links in the description are not built out here, but all of the videos, all 120 of them, have the Discord link in the server. There's about 750 engineers. Yep, see you later. Thank you so much. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Cesar. There's about 750 engineers in that. Very cool engineer from the Bahamas named Ashton is the Discord manager of that. He's constantly giving people new roles. I'm in Delaware, so I'm right here below Philadelphia. I went to the University of Delaware. I grew up in Maryland, about an hour from Washington, D.C., the capital of America. And so go ahead and join the Discord, guys. We have an Instagram page that we're just about to cross 300 followers for, so go ahead, please find the link in that description of another video and follow us. And finally, make sure you send me an email. Make sure you send me something in Discord. I want to make sure that your questions here are the first questions that get asked at next week's live stream. I think we're going to be doing this at 7 p.m. next Friday, but certainly every Friday. That is the goal for the rest of 2020. So if you can make Friday night live streams, shout out and give a little 1 in the chat right now so I can see. Do a 1 in the chat. If Friday night live streams are good for you, I would imagine that is the case because you're still here. And with that being said, give one final comment if I didn't actually get to your question yet, guys. Yep, I see you, Peter. Thank you so much. Leave your questions below, get into the Discord, drop it there, and otherwise we'll see you again in another video. Thanks again so much for checking out the live stream, guys. See you 1% Nation in another video. Bye-bye. Peace out.